This is the worst air quality we've experienced in over 20 years.
Coming up next on Scripps News Live, another day of smoke and haze blanketing New York and other parts of the eastern United States. The growing health concern as wildfire smoke continues to roll in. Plus, a surprising opinion from the Supreme Court on a case impacting voting rights in congressional districts, what it could mean for voters nationwide.
This influx of asylum seekers is a serious crisis, one that New York City is facing largely on our own.
Migrants struggling to access all the services that they need after arriving in the United States. But a new survey reveals about the hurdles that they face and how cities have been trying to manage their need. Plus, televangelist and Christian Broadcasting Network founder Pat Robertson has died. We're going to take a closer look at his controversial legacy straight ahead. Scripps News Live begins right now. Welcome to Scripps News Live. Great to see you on this Thursday. I'm Veronica Cruz. It is 3 p.m. on the East Coast and 12 p.m. out west. Major U.S. cities right now still dealing with hazardous air quality conditions today as smoke from Canada's overactive fire season continues to push south. More than 400 fires currently active right now. Yesterday, New York recorded the worst air quality in the world. Today, New Yorkers are being encouraged to stay inside, but if you do have to go out, officials are saying that you should wear a mask.
Making available 1 million N95 masks that we made available at state facilities. We have over 400,000 distributed to members of the public at state parks, MTA stations, Javits Center, Port Authority, and bus terminal, and anywhere else people need them. We're also having 600,000 masks available at Homeland Security stockpiles for local governments to pick up.
And it's not just in New York. Take a look at this. Images showing the hazy sky in Baltimore. Air quality declining to very unhealthy levels in the area today. And the haze has been reducing visibility, also irritating people's throats and eyes. And then in Washington, D.C., the mayor ordering schools to cancel outdoor recess, sports, and also field trips. The National Weather Service says as long as the wildfires in Canada remain uncontained, smoke is going to continue to spread. And you can see on the EPA's air quality website, today's forecast shows much of the Midwest, most of the East Coast are still under air quality advisories, with Washington, D.C. close to hazardous levels. That air quality expected to worsen overnight for many cities along the coast. So farmers have been keeping a close eye on air quality alerts as they continue to work outdoors. And a farmer in Erie County, New York, is saying that he has more than 80 employees helping to take care of 400 acres of land and vegetables. Evan Zittel says that he's taking extra precautions, encouraging workers to take longer breaks and making sure that they get home early if the smoke has been affecting them. He says it's not all bad news when it comes to the hazy weather that's been rolling in.
They're actually uptaking the carbon dioxide, so it's not great for them, but it's not terrible for them. So we're not really worried about the plants. It's mostly just our workforce and ourselves and our neighbors. Their health is always our first thing and most important thing that we keep in mind.
So it's expected to stay hazy and smoky across New York and other parts of the Northeast at least through tomorrow. So with those lingering conditions, doctors are concerned that the smoke could cause health problems for many Americans right now. Health and Science correspondent Lindsay Thies is standing by live right now on the West Coast. She's in San Francisco. So, Lindsay, we know this stuff is not good for your health. Who is most at risk right now?
Well, a good part of the country, millions, Veronica, as a matter of fact, we'll go ahead and pull up and show one of these federal air quality maps. And you can see not only is it much of the Northeast, but now parts of the Midwest are starting to show some of these areas. All of that yellow, those are where you're getting air quality readings above 100, which is at that point, you get some folks who are the most sensitive to air quality. And then in those darker colors, like we've been seeing, those are a situation where pretty much if anyone goes outside, even if you are otherwise healthy, you're going to feel some of those short-term impacts. Pregnant individuals, elderly individuals, and then another group doctors are really concerned about are children.
Everything you can right now, Lindsay, to stay indoors. Don't go outside if you can avoid it. But what can we do to better protect ourselves from the bad air that might be seeping in?
Oh, that's a great question, especially when you live in some of these big cities and you have those indoor air conditioning units that are stationed in the window, that sort of thing. So a couple things that you can do to protect yourself, of course, staying indoors, but making sure that all of your windows are closed. If you're using those in-window AC units, make sure it is completely sealed. And then from there, it's going to depend on an individual's HVAC system or air conditioning system, or what type of window air conditioner they have. If you have something that has like a HEPA filter or a MERV 13 filter, those are going to provide you the best type of protection. And then, especially with the window air filters, you want to look for a setting. Most of them have settings that will indicate whether or not it is pulling air and using air from the outside being pulled in. And that, again, depends on that specific device. Home ACs, for example, the majority of those are actually pushing the hot air in from your house out rather than pulling the air inside from outside. So there's that. Another big thing, I love my props today. If you have one of these portable air filters, it's something that's really common in parts of California, I know. We want to make sure, though, if you are looking for one of those or you have one of those, you're getting the specs on what type of size room it is best for. For example, this one device is something that we put on our nightstand and use in our bedroom with the doors closed. So really pay attention to that as well, Veronica.
It's really funny, Lindsay, because I think I got one of those for the pandemic, used it throughout the pandemic, and then, like you, came from the Bay Area, and when I was there in San Francisco, one wildfire season after another always led to us getting it out yet again and using that HEPA air filter, because you're right, they work quite well. So we know that this bad air isn't good for you. It obviously affects your nose, maybe your throat, your eyes. But what are the symptoms that you should be on the lookout for in terms of, if your health continues to deteriorate?
Absolutely. And really a couple things that you want to pay attention to. Most of us, we know our bodies. We know when we're starting to feel a little off. You see several of these symptoms on your screen right now, where we're talking about those watery and burning eyes, phlegm or wheezing cough. Some of these other ones, we're talking about difficulty breathing, feeling faint or dizzy. Those are some of the more extreme. And again, we know our bodies best, right? That will be giving us some of the signs. And if you notice that these aren't going away, even after you've been inside for quite a while, or even more so that they're worsening, that might be worth a call to your clinic or your doctor. If you are somebody who has high blood pressure, maybe you have other high at risk cardiovascular underlying conditions or symptoms, that's definitely something you want to pay attention to if you're in these parts of the the Northeast that have these really dangerously high levels. Because when those sorts of things happen, that's when we start to see more ER visits and hospitalizations going up. And it can trigger things like heart attack, like stroke for some of those patients, especially, Veronica.
I was speaking with an expert earlier, Lindsay, who said that a normal AQI level would be 50 to 100, and yesterday New York saw 400. So
yeah, just dramatic numbers for sure.
All right, Lindsay Thies in San Francisco. We appreciate it. Thank you. A surprise ruling by the U.S. Supreme Court to tell you about now. A majority of justices said Alabama congressional maps were drawn unfairly, and they ordered those maps to be redrawn, adding a second majority black voter district. Scripps News Deputy Political Director Joe St. George explains how this ruling goes well beyond Alabama.
A surprise opinion from the Supreme Court today. A majority of justices siding with liberals and progressives around the country and demanding that Alabama redraw its congressional maps. The case at its heart is whether Alabama violated the Voting Rights Act when they drew their map. Around 27% of voters in Alabama are black, but only one of the 7 congressional districts in Alabama is majority black. The Supreme Court could have sided with state lawmakers in Alabama in allowing them to draw maps that they deem fit. The Supreme Court could have also dismantled the Voting Rights Act of 1965 in the process, but that's not what the Supreme Court did on Thursday. In a 5-4 ruling, Chief Justice John Roberts and Associate Justice Brett Kavanaugh sided with the more liberal-leaning justices in saying Alabama needs to redraw its map and consider race more next time. Now, if you don't live in Alabama, this still has has the potential to impact you. It means that state lawmakers in your state will still have to factor in race when it comes to drawing congressional districts, which happens about every 10 years or so. As a practical political matter, Thursday's opinion tells the country that the Supreme Court may be more conservative leaning on paper, but that doesn't mean it will always side with conservatives. It also brings up the possibility that Democrats could soon pick up a seat in Alabama, potentially impacting control of the House of Representatives. As a reminder, June is traditionally when the most consequential opinions at the Supreme Court are released. We're still waiting on opinions involving student loan forgiveness as well as affirmative action. Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
And still to come on Scripps News Live, a new survey shows New York City's migrant population is struggling to access social services. A closer look at those findings and the new battle it's causing coming up. But first, running your own business? Yeah, it's no small job. Coming up next, we're going to talk to an expert about what you should know to get your company up and running.
The river is really the lifeblood of this community.
Increased snowmelt in the midst of a Western water crisis.
It's incredible. It hasn't been this high since at least 2019.
But will this breath of new life last? Tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News Tonight.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
There's a lot to watch on TV these days. Problem is, most streaming options are incredibly pricey, and you'll end up paying for the local channels you can get for free. Luckily, there's a solution. Sling is only $40 a month. And you get awesome stuff like sports, news, and today's hottest TV for half of what the other guys cost. If you already get free locals with an antenna, now you can easily add the channels you're missing with Sling. It's the TV you love for a price you'll love. Visit sling.com/antenna to learn more.
My anxiety became overwhelming. Like, I need help. I just found hers. Like, this is pretty incredible. Right away, I got matched with a provider. I noticed a huge difference. Medication brought me all back together. Get started today at forhers.com.
Keep your dog safe anywhere with the world's smartest fence. Halo Collar is a virtual fence inside a collar. Easily create multiple fences in the app. No installation required. Teach them to keep away from danger and come back to safety. Safely give your dog a life off leash. Wherever you go, it's a whole new world for you and your dog. Learn more at halocollar.com.
Sure, you should teach him to ride a bike. Then use Greenlight and teach him how to invest in bikes. Teach him to be smart about money and he'll go far.
Super far. Oh, hey, Mom.
Navigate the world of money together. Invest in your best investment. Greenlight.
Sunday nights on In Real Life.
Food for the baby?
Yeah.
Scripps News journalists take you off the grid.
We were just a bunch of kids with a camera. Stunts have become more specialized.
And to the heart of the story.
When the pandemic hit, the American dream kind of changed.
There were a lot of warning signs. They just didn't care.
In Real Life, Sunday at 8/7 Central, only on Scripps News.
President Biden met with UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak at the White House this afternoon. It's Sunak's first visit to the White House. On the agenda for the meeting, discussing support for Ukraine. The two world leaders also discussed ways to bolster cooperation on economic matters, announcing a new partnership called the Atlantic Declaration. Let's get you now out to Washington, where our White House correspondent Haley Bull joins us now live. Haley, what are the details on today's meeting? What more was discussed?
Veronica, this was really a show of the deep ties between the U.S. and the UK with this bilateral meeting between President Biden and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. It's Sunak's first visit to the White House as Prime Minister, but continues a series of recent meetings that the two leaders have had. And a big focus of this, as you mentioned, was on the economic ties between the countries. Sunak came into this meeting looking to really focus on that. And a major announcement coming out of this is a new economic agreement called the Atlantic Declaration. And this largely is structured around economic security. You think about the coercion from places like China and Russia that both of these leaders have talked about in the past. This aims to address those economic challenges going forward. It also looks at critical minerals going forward, and interestingly also looks at emerging technology, including artificial intelligence. The two leaders saying during today's press conference that they have agreed to work together on this. It's been a big focus for President Biden as the administration looks to balance the opportunities and the risks with this new technology. Take a listen to how Sunak described President Biden described the economic relationship here.
Our economic partnership is an enormous strength and source of strength that anchors everything that we do together.
And another big focus during this was, of course, on Ukraine. Both countries have been staunch supporters of Ukraine's defense, and it's really a critical time for Ukraine as it faces speculation about a counteroffensive, as just this week it accuses Russia of damaging a dam that has led to mass flooding, and as Western allies have really focused on long-term support for Ukraine. And both leaders reaffirmed their long-term commitment to defending Ukraine. Sunak noting that that is in part a deterrence for Putin, who they believe is waiting to essentially ride it out. So that is another thing we heard discussed between the two leaders, who have both provided both weapons support, training support, and backed the training of Ukrainian pilots on F-16s. Listen.
Let no one doubt, U.S. leadership and resources are the decisive contribution allowing the forces of democracy and freedom to prevail.
And this also comes ahead of NATO's summit next month. And one of the questions that's been floating around in the background, Veronica, has been on the next Secretary General for NATO. And the administration has not put any names on the table, saying a decision hadn't been made. But notably, President Biden did acknowledge that the UK has their own person that they seem to be backing, but did not concretely throw support behind anyone, noting that there are discussions to be had within NATO. So certainly this caps Sunak's visit to Washington, D.C. That has included this pivotal meeting at the White House, as well as meeting yesterday with congressional leaders. Veronica?
All right, Haley Poole reporting live for us from the White House. Haley, thank you so much. So first-time jobless claims hit their highest level in more than a year and a half. The Labor Department says 261,000 unemployment claims were filed last week, which is an increase of 28,000 from the week before and the most since October 2021. Now, economists were expecting far fewer, but data shows that first-time claims are still below historical averages. And teenagers are thinking differently about their future careers. A new survey finds that they are more interested in work that they love than in a job that pays well. And they are concerned about student loan debt. Danita Harris with Scripps News Cleveland has the details.
Teens, what are they thinking when it comes to their future? A study by Junior Achievement and Citizens revealed 13 to 18-year-olds have a fresh perspective on work. I talked to 18-year-old Carson Supes, a budding entrepreneur, about the results.
One of the things that stood out is that 40% of teens want to be social media influencers. What do you think about that?
That was very shocking to me, really. Seeing how big that number was compared to how students feel about the four-year degree was really shocking. It was very high for me, especially just coming from my friends and the people I talk to. A lot of the people that I know are going to college for a 4-year degree. I am myself.
Carson, with the help of Junior Achievement, has started her own company, Safe Chain. It was birthed from a friend's terrible car accident.
Our sales manager, Sydney Lowe, got in a car accident because the person that hit her, she got T-boned, the person that hit her was on their phone. And we were all like, there has to be something that we can do about this. And we were like, all right, well, what is something you have to have in your car? Oh, your keys. Oh, a keychain. So then that's how we decided to create the keychain. And then the message on it, it reads, text me when you get home. So by seeing text me when you get home, every single time you get in the car, it'll just trigger your brain to actually, you know, put your phone down and be safe.
She shared her company would not exist without the guidance and resources provided by Junior Achievement.
And what makes our programs work are the community volunteers that we recruit from companies like Citizens to go into the classrooms and be that positive role model. So we provide, you know, curriculum and content and hands-on activities, wonderful learning opportunities for our students and our teachers.
Our colleagues volunteer year-round with Junior Achievement in Cleveland, Akron, and Canton, providing financial education in schools, and also volunteering with the Career Success programs.
The research showed that teens are very concerned about incurring student loan debt, making college less attractive. It also stated that teens value work they enjoy over work that pays well. Carson told me passion is a key part of her success.
Sometimes at the end of the day, when I had a hard day at work, a hard day at school, you know, a hard day with the whole keychain production, I could have so easily just quit and said, I give up. And there were times where I genuinely was like, this is too much for me right now. But at the end of the day, I was genuinely passionate about it. And that was kind of the fuel to my fire to keep going.
Well, as a mom, I want to thank you for creating a keychain that says, text me when you get home,
You're
because
welcome.
I say that to my son all the time.
Yeah.
Thank you, Carson.
You're welcome. Thank you.
I love that. I love that. So starting a new business, as we just heard from that young entrepreneur, is definitely hard work. And a recent survey of more than 1,000 adults between the ages of 25 and 60 in the U.S. have found that 60% have a small business, maybe a side hustle, or maybe they're just freelancing on the side. 76% said that they were also working for another company. Senior small business columnist for USA Today and best-selling author Steve Strauss knows all about it, how hard it can be to run a successful small business. Steve, thank you so much for your time today.
Great to be here, Veronica.
Steve, why are there so many Americans out there that are self-employed or maybe running a side hustle? How has the labor force changed?
Yeah, well, you know what? It turns out that this is the greatest time ever to start a business. So to answer your question, that is the reason. Look, it used to be, it was kind of very labor intensive, very expensive to become an entrepreneur and start a business. But these days, especially with the advent of online businesses, it's easier, less expensive, and, you know, much faster to be able to do so. So to go online, to create a business, to get your website up, to do some e-commerce or sell your services even online, very inexpensive and very easy to do. And you don't even have to do it full time. So you can start slow, learn what works, figure out your business, even maybe keep your day job, and then you can, you know, go into it full time.
Wow, you make it sound so easy. You make it sound so easy, but we know it's really
easier.
difficult.
How's that?
Okay, easier. We know that it is difficult. It's hard to be an entrepreneur, right? So tell us what the biggest challenges are, because I'm sure people at home are going, oh my goodness, it's so easy. I can launch my website. I can jump online. I can, you know, get into e-commerce, and there are many, many opportunities out there, but you have to be motivated. You have to have the time, and you have to have the patience, and you have to have the passion.
Absolutely. Look, not everybody is an entrepreneur. Not everybody is cut out to own or run or start a small business. You know, some people are athletes, and some people are actors, and some people work well with others or work by, you know, as an employee, and some people like to work for themselves. And those are probably the entrepreneurs. So are there challenges? You bet. There's a lot of competition, and there are a lot of things to learn. So, you know, entrepreneurs get all sorts of advice. You have to, you know, pick and choose what you get. And then learn as you go. But the good news is there is a lot of help out there as well. So it makes it easier than before, for sure.
And what kind of help are you talking about? Let's go ahead and expand on that for a bit, because I know lots of people are watching this and they're thinking, I want in, but I want to know what resources are available to me.
Right. Well, for example, you could go to Score.org is this great organization that gives confidential, free online business counseling at their website, Score.org, or the Small Business Administration, the SBA. Boy, they'll give you loans and things like that. And also, there's all sorts of tools available that really were never available before. I can give you an example. I do some work with a company called Pinger, and they have an app called Index. And with this app, it's just an app on your phone. If you have a little business and someone calls you, instead of getting your voicemail, you can send them a text in return. So all of a sudden, you're having a text exchange, and you can get them to review your business online via the app, or pay you on, via the app. But Index is just one of these kind of tools, one of these apps. There's really a lot. Big businesses spend a lot of money creating great tools for small business. So what we have to do is go out, look for the ones that fit the kind of business we want to start or have started, learn them, use them, and it's going to make our business life much easier, more fun, and hopefully more profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. The difficult part of all of this also is when you start to get bigger and you scale, we've often heard that keeping employees might be really difficult, especially as salaries increase. That inflation is higher than it ever has been, or so they say. I don't necessarily believe that it's the highest we've ever seen it, but things are more expensive. So I want to go ahead and play you this clip from Danny Isaacson, the CEO and founder of a community engagement company. Take a listen to this.
Okay. Yeah.
I think about someone who talked to us about how she was earning $14 an hour and she didn't take a $21 an hour job because she was going to lose childcare. But you can imagine if there was an employer who was offering her $17 an hour and good childcare, she's going to take it in a heartbeat.
What do you have to say about something like that in terms of deciding where you want to spend your time, where your passions will take you? What does that tell you about the workforce today?
So I think he's really onto something. I saw a survey not long ago, and it looked at the top franchises in the state of California, in that giant state. And why was one franchise better than the other? Why was one store better than the other? Was it the owner had better advertising or marketing or a better location? No. It turned out that the best ones, meaning the ones that had the highest profit and the happiest employees, customer service, all those kind of things, the owner was a great manager. They were great bosses. Because turns out if you treat your people well, they're happy. And if you have happy employees and you include them and you pay them fair and you give them benefits, well, they're going to treat your customers right. And if your customers get treated right, well, they're going to come back. So it starts with the owner being a great boss. If you do that, then it's going to trickle down and the whole cycle is going to really work well for you. So I think that's exactly how it's supposed to work.
Yeah, employee retention is key. Be a great boss. Sounds
Absolutely.
so easy. USA Today columnist and small business expert Steve Strauss, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Coming up next on Scripps News Live, major businesses filing for bankruptcy in record fashion. We're going to track those trends and dig into why after the break. But first, a new survey out says the majority of migrants in New York City don't have access to basic social services. We'll have that story for you next.
I'm gonna sell my life insurance because I don't need it anymore. My kids are grown, my wife is great, let's settle up the score. It's time to travel to Paris, spend retirement happy. Call 877-SELL-EASY, 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 and sell your policy. You can sell all or part, live your life, play it smart. 877-SELL-EASY and sell your policy.
If you've had a change in health or you're over 65 and paying for $100,000 or more in a life insurance policy you don't need, get paid for it instead.
Take the money that you get, gonna live it up, you bet. Call 877-SELL-EASY, 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 and sell your policy.
Shopping for Father's Day is hard.
Actually, it's easy.
You never know what to get him.
Just give me steak.
It has to be perfect.
Yep. Dads want steak.
Right now, Omaha Steaks is offering Dad's favorite gift package that includes 4 of our exquisite bacon-wrapped filet mignons, 4 air-chilled boneless chicken breasts, boneless pork chops, Jumbo Frank's dessert, and more. All for just $99.99. Save 61%. Order today at omahasteaks.com/TV and you'll get 8 burgers free.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
The Athletic. Subscribe today.
Develop a gorgeous app with Fiverr. You'll need your product manager, QA engineer, and Omar, a Fiverr freelance product designer with an impressive number of orders who will join your team from home. Smart and cozy. Expand your team with a Fiverr freelancer.
If you're living with diabetes, this is the sound that could change your life.
Great news for people living with diabetes. Now you can wear a continuous glucose monitor and eliminate routine finger sticks. The days of repeated, painful finger sticks are over.
Call 800-719-8907.
If you use insulin daily to manage your condition, a continuous glucose monitor could help you control your diabetes and reduce or eliminate those painful finger sticks. If you have Medicare or private insurance, US Med can deliver a CGM system right to your door. And if you qualify, there may be little or no cost to you. Shipping is free and will even bill your insurer directly. Call now to get your continuous glucose monitoring system so you can take control of your diabetes and get back to enjoying life.
Call 800-719-8907. That's 800-719-8907.
Hey there, welcome back to Scripps News Live. I'm Veronica Cruz. Great to see you on this Thursday. It's now 31 minutes after the hour. Here are some of the other stories that we're keeping an eye on for you right now. So many of the top companies in the world are expected to add to the global warming crisis. It's all according to a new report out from ESG Book. The report says many of the businesses aren't sharing data on their greenhouse gas emissions. Researchers say less than a quarter of the businesses follow the Paris Agreement, and more should be done to address this issue. So the prime suspect in the 2005 disappearance of Natalie Holloway is now in Alabama. Jorn van der Sloot, a Dutch citizen, was transferred from a prison in Peru today and then handed over to FBI agents. He's facing charges for alleged extortion of the Holloway family and wire fraud. Van der Sloot was one of the last people to see Holloway alive before she disappeared during a trip to Aruba. Now to Ukraine, where the president of the country, Volodymyr Zelensky, visited flooded areas in Kherson days after the breach of a dam there. The president also taking part in a coordination meeting as rescues continue in the region. Those operations have been put on pause after Ukrainian officials say that Russian forces started shelling the city. Officials say some evacuation points were hit and at least 8 people have been injured. A recent survey found New York City's migrant population has been struggling to access social services. Asylum seekers are telling the advocacy group Make the Road New York getting legal representation, transportation, and even basic needs like clothing or food have all been challenging. New York City is seeing a surge of asylum seekers in recent months. So the city is now suing 30 counties across the state, claiming there are too many barriers to getting migrants help. Scripps News national reporter Axel Trostios has been covering the crisis for us, and he joins us now live from New York City. So, Axel, the findings from the survey are pretty stunning. Some just disturbing statistics and some disturbing stories as well. Tell us exactly what's going on right now.
Well, Veronica, and these organizations that are helping with this survey that they found, the most migrants in New York City are struggling with services such as transportation, accessing to food, and also beginning their applications with asylum. They said that what they want is that they want to help the city find the best ways to help these people. And this comes at a moment when New York City Mayor Eric Adams says that the New York City is still struggling to help the more than 46,000 migrants that are still under the city's care.
Newly arrived migrants are struggling in New York City. A survey conducted by immigration advocates Make the Road New York and Hester Street shows migrants are not getting access to legal representation, healthcare, education, and basic necessities. 93% of respondents said they have not found a lawyer for their asylum cases. 97% have not yet received work authorization. And as a result, 98% have not found steady work.
This influx of asylum seekers is a serious crisis, one that New York City is facing largely on our own.
New York City Mayor Eric Adams says the city is struggling to house the thousands of migrants that have arrived since spring of 2022.
It's unfair and it's not right that New York is going through this.
Earlier this week, Adams announced the creation of a faith-based shelter program that will allow up to 50 houses of worship to offer overnight shelter for single adult men.
We'll expand the amount of emergency shelter available to asylum seekers.
The survey examined the experiences of 766 migrants between February and May. 26% of the respondents said they are not eating 3 full meals per day, while 59% don't have access to reliable transportation because shelters are often far from transportation hubs. Despite the findings, Mayor Adams says the city is getting things done.
We supported over 72,000 asylum seekers, opened over 160 sites for asylum seekers to rest their heads and receive services, and help people in need get health care, education, legal aid, and so much more.
Veronica, part of the people that were surveyed included single adults and parents, and 26% of those parents said that they have not been able to enroll all their children into schools. And despite the lack of resources and all of the challenges they are currently living here in New York City, 67% of them said that they would still live in New York even if they had somewhere else they could live. Veronica.
Yeah, it really is stunning, especially when you hear that 72% can't afford basic necessities to live. Axel Trosius reporting live from New York City. Axel, we appreciate it. Thanks. So as expected, President Biden has vetoed legislation that would cancel his plan to forgive student debt. The president said the relief is critical to millions of people, and the plan would forgive up to $20,000 in federal student debt for people making less than $125,000 a year. We are still awaiting a Supreme Court ruling on a legal challenge to eliminate this program, and it could come this month. In the meantime, Special Counsel Jack Smith has subpoenaed former Trump advisor Steve Bannon. It's expected that Bannon will answer questions about the January 6th insurrection and efforts to overturn the 2020 election. In Florida, a separate grand jury investigating whether Trump mishandled classified documents heard from another former Trump aide yesterday, and that's led to speculation any charges would be filed in Florida and not in Washington, D.C. Fresh off weeks of debate now over a deal to raise the debt ceiling, House Speaker Kevin McCarthy is now facing a new political challenge, and this one is coming from members of his own party. The rank and file and the Freedom Caucus have been stalling congressional business, even threatening to have Speaker McCarthy removed. And it's all to protest the deal that McCarthy cut with President Biden to keep the government from defaulting on its debt. The House Speaker is brushing off the disruption, calling it healthy political debate and part of his risk-taker way of being a leader.
It's okay if we have some disruptions, because if the disruptions turn out to save the hardworking taxpayer more money, that we eliminate some more wasteful Washington spending, I've got a challenge over there on the Senate side with even Senate Republicans who now just want to blow up the deal to spend more money. So I've got to push on all sides. I mean, sometimes I feel like Goldilocks, but we're going to get right to the middle.
The fight between McCarthy and House conservatives centers around the budget levels that McCarthy agreed to in the debt ceiling bill. The agreement restricted spending, but not as much as the Freedom Caucus was hoping to see. So federal financial disclosures filed by Supreme Court justices are now being made public. The annual disclosures are of particular interest this year. The Supreme Court's ethical guidelines, as well as the finances of some of the court's members, remain under intense scrutiny right now. And the filings show that Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson received a $1,200 congratulatory floral display from Oprah Winfrey. She also reported more than $6,800 in designer clothing for a Vogue photo shoot on the first black woman on the nation's highest court. And then Justice Sonia Sotomayor said that she received nearly $150,000 in royalties for 2 children's books. And anyone wanting to see Justice Clarence Thomas's financial filings, they're going to have to wait. He and Justice Samuel Alito have both asked for extensions, which could be for as long as 90 days. Justice Thomas has come under recent scrutiny for not disclosing gifts, including vacations from a wealthy Republican donor. And critics have used the situation to demand ethics reform for the Supreme Court. And then going even more in depth right here, ProPublica has reported Justice Thomas has accepted trips from mega donor Harlan Crow for 2 decades now. And ProPublica is saying that Crow has provided a jet, a 162-foot yacht, also access to luxury locations around the world. Justice Thomas didn't include the trips on any financial disclosures. Corporate bankruptcies just hit a new peak, marking the highest levels since the Great Recession. It's all part of a growing trend among billionaire or billion-dollar businesses that experts believe isn't going to go away anytime soon. National correspondent Stephen Graddick has the details.
Party City, Bed Bath & Beyond, and mattress seller Serta Simmons are just some of the nearly 300 corporations that have filed for bankruptcy so far this year. According to new data from the S&P Global Market Intelligence, that's the highest year-to-date total since 2010, which saw over 400 bankruptcies in just 5 months. Corporate bankruptcies also rose slightly from April, with 54 companies filing in May. Some of the most notable include Jenny Craig, Vice Media, and Monotronics International, Inc., the parent company of Brink's Home Security. Monotronics was among 11 companies this year that entered bankruptcy with more than $1 billion in liabilities. Most of the companies going bankrupt sell non-essential consumer products, including fire protection company Kitty Finwall or the specialty retail chain Christmas Tree Shops. Bankruptcies among large corporations are down from their peak in March, but are slowly creeping up again as the Federal Reserve continues to drive up interest rates amid a period of record inflation. The filings also show how dependent companies were on borrowing easy money with low interest rates, like Vice Media, which said in its filings last month it took out big loans and complex investments as its cash flow was depleted. But as interest rates rose, the company couldn't keep up with paying its debt. Industry analysts believe the trend is sticking around for the time being. According to the New York Times, the chief global economist at Vanguard warned investors to expect banks to cut back on lending. Stephen Graddick, Scripps News.
Now, economists say the 20 countries which use the euro as currency have officially entered a recession. Revised data shows 2 straight quarters of an economic contraction, which qualifies as a recession. The recession designation does not apply to European countries that use other forms of currency. Televangelist and one-time Republican presidential candidate Pat Robertson has died at the age of 93. National correspondent Amber Strong takes a look back at his life, his legacy, and his influence on American politics.
Pat Robertson, the television preacher who helped usher in the evangelical right and the Christian Coalition, has died. Pat Robertson, one of the early pioneers of the televangelist world, started the Christian Broadcasting Network in 1961, creating the 700 Club in 1966, a show that is still on the air today. As the show grew in popularity, so did Robertson. Using his popularity, he helped make religion a big part of Republican politics and ushered in the early evangelical right movement, eventually running for president in 1988. He didn't win the election, but over the years, his network became a must-stop for anyone seeking the GOP nomination. In later years, Robertson became known as much for controversy as for preaching, criticized for his many inflammatory remarks against Democrats, minorities, Muslims, and the LGBTQ community. He stepped down from hosting the 700 Club in 2021. His family says Robertson passed away Thursday morning in Virginia Beach. He was 93 years old. Reaction to his passing has been mixed, with many condemning his words online, but others, like presidential candidate Mike Pence, saying he was inspired by Robertson. Amber Strong, Scripps News.
Coming up next on Scripps News Live, healing through music. That is the goal of many LGBTQ-led choir groups. After a quick break, we're going to show you how these groups are becoming safe spaces in times of tragedy. And a quick reminder, we'd like to hear from you. Give us a call on our Scripps News viewer hotline toll free. That number on your screen right now, 833-4SCRIPPS. Again, that's 1-833-472-7477. You can share your comments and your story ideas.
Ready?
Go.
Okay, doctor.
Operation.
No, nurse.
College? What? You have to go to college to be a doctor or a nurse.
Hurry, time's almost up.
Okay. The most amazing care. Oh, Benzie.
Oh, I know. Shrine.
Time's up. Okay, our turn.
Ready, go. They changed my life. Pioneers Hospital for Children. My life was changed because of the month they support people just like you. You call the number on your screen with a monthly gift so kids like me can play in the game of life.
Because of people like you, I can play the violin.
I can do things now that were impossible before. I can draw.
I can play basketball.
When you call or go online today with your monthly gift of just $19, just 63 cents a day, we'll send you this adorable Love to the Rescue blanket as our gift to you. It'll be a reminder of how you're standing by our side just like family.
Thank you.
Your gifts help our daughter.
Do a monthly gift right now at loveshriners.org. Makes moments like this possible for kids like me. And me. Thank you for giving. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you. Please call or go online now. If operators are busy, call again. Or go to loveshriners.org to give right away. Thank you.
Are you or a loved one between the ages of 50 to 80 years old? If you are younger than 80 years old, do you receive Social Security, disability, or Medicare? If you answered yes, you may qualify for $30,000 in funeral insurance for only pennies a day. The average funeral costs around $11,000, and Social Security only pays $255, leaving your loved ones to pay the balance. Call now to see if you qualify for $30,000 in funeral expense coverage from Senior Legacy Life. Your rate will never increase, your benefits will never decrease, and there is no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing disease or illness. Don't be a financial burden to your family. Lock in your rate by completing an application over the phone right now. Will you qualify for funeral insurance up to $30,000 for only pennies a day? Find out by calling Senior Legacy Life.
Call 1-800-300-5808 to speak with a licensed insurance agent. That's 1-800-300-5808.
I don't get paid until next week.
I got you. I'm Dave, and I can spot you up to $500 of your future money instantly.
Up to $500 instantly? What else is in my future?
A new couch.
Holy! Get up to $500 instantly with Dave. Local, national, and worldwide headlines. Breaking down the day's biggest stories with live reporting from around the globe.
I'm Del Walters, and this is The Debrief.
Live tonight, starting at 6/5 Central, only on Scripps News.
Rainbow flags will be flying as the White House hosts its biggest Pride celebration this weekend. The Biden administration is also set to announce several new measures aimed at protecting the LGBTQ community. On the list, a new coordinator for the Department of Education who will oversee challenges to book bans. The administration will also unveil mental health safety training for the Justice Department and Health and Human Services to improve care for transgender and gender diverse youth. Initiatives to protect LGBTQ youth in foster care and combat homelessness will also be announced. And the White House's Pride celebration was set to take place tonight, but it's now been moved to Saturday because of the smoky conditions from the Canadian wildfires. Now, in the meantime, a Tennessee law banning gender transition care is forcing families to flee. The law is going to take effect on July 1st, but already families are being impacted. One family recently got a letter from their doctor saying the law was forcing him to end gender-affirming care services. And this could be anything from puberty blockers and hormones to other forms of transition care. Tennessee mom Kristen Chapman says this care is vital to her daughter's well-being. So making a move was the right choice.
If my kid did not get a shot in August, I can guarantee there would be psychiatric ramifications by December. Do I want my child alive and well or not? That's the choice.
Now, the Chapman family has launched a GoFundMe for anyone willing to help them relocate, and so far nearly $6,000 of their $8,000 goal has been raised. The LGBTQ community is using music as a lifeline as it navigates the discrimination and violence against them. Scripps News correspondent Jesse Cohen explores how one group is creating a safe space through song.
Singing in a room like this is more than creating a tune. Breathing in the reality of the world around them and exhaling the emotions that come with it.
Seasons come round again. It gives me a chance to show some emotions that I might not otherwise show.
As a member of the LGBTQ+ choir Harmony, Lisa Cisneros says those emotional musical opportunities are crucial to her well-being, and they have been for most of her adult life.
In a lot of ways, Harmony made it possible for me to just say, I don't care what anybody thinks. And eventually, through singing with Harmony, I got to a place where I could come out to my family, not worrying about whether I would lose my family.
LGBTQ+ choirs were originally created out of tragedy, dating back to the AIDS crisis. For years, they have continued to serve as a place of safety and healing for this community.
I'm a graduate of Columbine High. My mother calls me every time there's a mass shooting to see if I'm okay.
When mass shootings like Orlando's Pulse nightclub or Colorado Springs Club Q happen, we hear about these communities mourning. But it's groups like Harmony, these members say, that help the healing continue when the media spotlight wears off.
When Pulse happened, it was a shock to all of us. It doesn't go away. It affects you forever.
A record-breaking number of murders against trans people occurred in 2020, according to the Human Rights Campaign. 44% of lesbian women have experienced rape, physical violence, or stalking by an intimate partner, and 70% of LGBTQ+ members have been sexually harassed at work.
And when you're in the midst of it, and you're trapped in a place like that, you need a place to go where there is no judgment. There's no, well, if you hadn't been out at the gay bar.
Grief has no guaranteed route, and neither does trauma. Music is the thread that helps these singers navigate their personal journeys.
It gives us a place to just open up and let everything out that we've ever felt. We have these traumas from so many other places, and only this family really gets the totality of that.
Whether it's pain you are experiencing now, neglect from 20 years ago, or ongoing grief, groups like Harmony are dedicated to serving as a safe space for healing. Jesse Cohen, Scripps News, Denver.
Still ahead on Scripps News Live, new feature could allow you to leave a voicemail, but with video. Coming up next, the latest Apple update for FaceTime fans and how the company is also helping you feel a little more grateful in life. Plus, we want to remind you right here to follow us at Scripps News on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. We'll be right back.
Hey there. Hey. Hey there, how are you? I'm with Disabled American Veterans. I was wondering if you had a quick minute to thank America's veterans for their service and sacrifices.
Of course, why not?
Oh, sure. Absolutely. Sure.
All right. Hey, well, come on in here. I'm just going to hit record on this.
I would like to thank you from the bottom of my heart. I can't even think of the words to say of how grateful I am.
I just want to tell you guys how much you appreciate it.
But most importantly, I want to thank you for your courage and bravery.
Wow.
Thank you.
Someone here who'd like to say something to you.
Oh my gosh, you guys are awesome.
Someone has something they want to say to you.
Goodness, how's it going? So I just want to let you know how much you appreciate it. How much you appreciate it.
I just feel honored for everything you've done.
Thank you for myself. Thank you for everybody.
I get to live every day, in peace because of you.
A lot of people thank us, but we want to take the time to thank you, honestly, for giving back. And when you give to DAV, you are supporting veterans like Dave, myself. So thank you so much for everything.
Thank you. You guys are amazing. Thank you.
You can say thank you to our nation's heroes by calling the number on your screen right now and giving your monthly support of only $19.
Say thank you by going to helpdav.org right now and give just $19 a month. When you do, we'll send you this DAV blanket as a thank you and a reminder that you support those who served.
Please call or go online to helpdav.org right now. Your support says thank you to our nation's disabled American veterans.
Do you spend hours maintaining your gutters? Save that time with LeafGuard's maintenance-free system. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS. Mesh filters sit on top of your gutters, building up debris and eventually clogging. Then they need to be cleaned too. Honestly, your home should have been built with LeafGuard gutters. LeafGuard's wraparound hood deflects debris and keeps water away from your home. The one-piece seamless system is strong, 20% thicker than average, and built to last. Plus, LeafGuard is guaranteed to never clog for as long as you own your home. Right now, get a complete LeafGuard system for only $99 down, $99 a month, and $99 installation. You'll also receive a $100 Visa gift card with a free gutter inspection and in-home estimate. Damage from clogged gutters can cost you thousands. Never worry about clogged gutters again. Don't wait, you've still got time. Call 1-833-2-GUTTERS today. That's 1-833-2-GUTTERS.
So today marks World Oceans Day, and this year's theme is Planet Ocean, Tides Are Changing. The Earth's oceans provide at least 50% of the planet's oxygen, and they're also the main source of protein for billions of people. But oceans are being negatively impacted by things like overfishing and pollution. World Oceans Day encourages everyone to take action to protect the water all around the world. All right, check this out. Have you ever wanted to leave a video voicemail? Well, Apple just granted that wish with its latest iOS update. iPhone users are soon going to be able to leave audio and video voicemail messages through the FaceTime app. So if the person that you're FaceTiming doesn't answer, then you can just leave them a video recording for later on. The new iOS 17 is expected this fall, and the new software also has a journal app, which Apple says is a way for you to practice gratitude. Very nice. Okay, Taco Bell. That looks good. It's called the Crunch Wrap. It is an entree getting a vegan makeover. The new version includes a plant-based protein topped with 2 vegan sauces, and it's wrapped in a crunchy tostada shell. It's only available at 3 stores right now. There's one in New York, one in Hollywood, there's one in Orlando, and that's it. The company says nearly a quarter of its sales last year came from vegetarian options. Yum. So it's against the law for emergency rooms to turn away patients in need of medical care, but a Scripps News investigative report finds that many of them are doing exactly that, often to women who are in labor. Our Dell Walters will have that special report for you in the next hour. I'm Veronica Cruz. In the meantime, I will see you back here tomorrow, but the news continues right here on Scripps News Live. Don't go too far.